Hey everybody, Seth and Ryan here from Go-to-Market Advisors, bringing you another installment on our educational series around the new framework we released called TRAP. For this video, we're going to talk about the A in TRAP, which is activity, and as a leader, how you can think through analyzing your team's pipeline from an activity perspective, which for the most part, most managers are already doing, but we want to break down a couple key areas of how to think about it and also how that kind of correlates back to the overarching point around TRAP. Ryan, why don't you take it away and kind of break down the video for us today?
Yeah, sure. So we're talking about, as we've spoken about before, TRAP is an acronym, each letter stands for a category of data points. So today we're talking about the A in TRAP, which stands for activity. So one of the key things is all of these elements is meant to create a framework for you of what to look at and how to really inspect a deal to understand what's going on. And so it's important to think about these things not on their own necessarily always, that they can be complementary to one another. Timeline and activity is one of those examples where you want to be able to look at how long has it been, but during that time, what's actually happening. So that's an important context to think about. So today we're talking specifically about activity. For most managers, you're already looking at this. We think most people are taking a look at this because this is the way that you kind of inspect, is the work being done by your rep, right? Are they reaching out? Are they calling, et cetera? And this is kind of your check and balance that they're doing what you hope they're doing. So I think what we want to talk about today is, assuming that that's already happening, what's really that next level that you can go to really better understand what's happening. So when you look at activity, for some folks, they might end at just, is activity taking place? So I'm looking at a deal and I see Seth has, sent 3 emails this month. I might go, cool, that's kind of around the volume that I'm expecting out of Seth. That seems okay to me. What we want to encourage you to think about is, let's go a step beyond just that volume number. So, okay, Seth's done 3 outreaches. Great. Let's look at the qualitative element of that as a next step. What were those outreaches? Was it, hey, customer, what's the latest? Was it a thoughtful email? Was the email all to one person? What was the content of the email? You can start looking at the qualitative level of work as one of those secondary points. Seth, what else would you suggest is kind of another way to dig into that?
Yeah, I think maybe to take a step back on the activity piece, there's probably a couple different anchoring points that you can look at, like the volume activity, right? What Ryan's kind of referencing is like, how frequently is that taking place within this component of the process? You can also look at the type of activity that's taking place, right? Is it a call? Is it a call? Is it an email? Is it a text? And then what's the message, which Ryan is referencing at the end there, of like the qualitative component of like what's actually being said. For me, if I look at activity and I'm analyzing a deal, I want to see about the reciprocation. So it's great that activity is taking place and the volume's there, right? Let's say if the volume's not there, that's one problem. But if the volume's there, I'm going to see about the reciprocation, meaning, is the customer actually responding back? And what is the customer saying? Is the customer saying 2 words, 3 words, or going, yep, sounds good, yep, sounds good? Or are they actually giving something meaningful in the email? And then the last piece of the activity that I think is important is like the type. So you talk a lot about this, Ryan, but break down the type of meeting that you really want to see if potentially there's a stall in a stage.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, a couple 1 sentence emails back and forth really doesn't tell you a lot. In positively, it's probably more negative. If you're getting 3-word responses from someone, that's not the type of engagement we're really looking to validate here. So
Yeah.
when you look at activity, you I don't look at activity type the same. An email exchange like, hey, what's the latest? We're still thinking about it. uh, that wasn't a substantive engagement. I think if the activity was, I got on the phone and I had a 15-minute dialogue with my champion or with an executive, that's very different. I would rank that much higher in the kind of the green light column. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
you want to think about that type of engagement, a demo, an actual phone discussion, an in-person meeting. Those are substantive engagement. A quick text back and forth, or I left a voicemail and they texted me back, or I sent a short email and they sent a short email back. Those I think are on the lower end of the spectrum. So I don't consider those created equal. And I think if you look at just the volume of engagement, you might miss the qualitative value there. I would rather see a rep have one meeting over the course of the month than 6 unanswered emails.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, we've talked about this before, but one of the things as a manager that you should think about is this deal even real?
Yeah.
That should be the first thought that goes through your head as a leader is this a deal worth our time? And one of the ways you can use activity is actually not just looking at the stage, but taking a step back and zooming out of looking at the whole deal to go from the first call to now, how has the activity been? Again, has it been one-sided? Has there been a volume activity? Has it been just one email? And you can start to get a sense of potentially why this has been either stalled in stage or you don't feel like this is a real opportunity and maybe someone's trying to see a demo, right? Activity is almost one of the best barometers that you can see. Everybody loves the analogy, you can't push a rope. Think through that, right? Everybody just kind of glazes over it. Activity is one of the best barometers that you can have. Now, sometimes, maybe your tracking isn't perfect. Maybe somebody's not logging a text and they're texting back and forth with the buyer. Maybe there's not some additional context you're missing. But this should be a really interesting indication of, again, the red light, green light concept. If you're sending 6 emails and not responding, that's a red light. Right? If it's been 2 emails or 1 email, there's got to be a little bit of time there. And again, buyers, got other stuff on their plates. But if you're sending 6 emails and you can't get a hold of them after a demo, I think we all know what's going on in the deal.
Yeah, I think the other thing is also to look at the type of activity. If it's outbound and it's a response, that is less valuable than an organic inbound. Organic inbound says, I'm on my own volition thinking about your potential product or service, and now I'm reaching out to you, and now we're dialoguing, versus I'm responding to a request for information, which normally when you're tracking the stuff is what you're looking at. Those are not equal. So when you think about the quality of this engagement, someone on the client side or prospect side reaching out to you with questions, with suggestions, with scheduling meetings, things like that is a really good sign and better and more valuable to your probability of winning than just a response to, hey, can you give me an update? Well, there's kind of an obligatory response there for some people, and that doesn't mean that they're actively thinking and engaging in this potential valuation.
Yeah. So just to recap quickly, and we'll close it out. There's a couple areas you can look at. You can look at the volume. You can look at the type of message. And then you can actually look at the message itself and what's being said. I think a combination of those is probably useful. With the biggest leading indicator of this is a green light is if a customer is proactively engaging a rep. If they are doing that, that's a great sign. It's not always a sign that you're going to win the deal, but that's a great sign that they're actively evaluating something. If it's constantly pulling teeth, you should have your cackles up in the back of your neck going, not sure what's going on there. So again, this is a part of Trap. It's one piece of it. I think it's one of the most important pieces of Trap is looking at the activity. It's something we all naturally do, but do it in a way that's specific. Look for certain things. Don't just look at what the last message was sent. Look at the full context of what's going on in the deal. It'll help you out a ton as you're looking to forecast and also potentially get ahead of risky pipeline. So hope this helps. Stay tuned for some more videos. We'll be in touch soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.